Think for a moment, if you will, if the Death Star existed in our galaxy and somehow or another, some manager would have allowed an underling to allow him to design a hole about the size of a womp rat into the trench of the Death Star, okay? And that would be a technological error, right? Well, that's maybe what we were dealing with for the first 45 minutes. But hey, now we're together. And that is exactly how we decided to start streaming Star Wars Episode 18. No, we can rewind. We'll rewind. Let's rewind. 3. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to do this. Okay, so what are we actually watching right now? We're watching Streaming Stars with Ammo and Fletzer. I'm Ammo. He's Fletzer. If I'm being honest with you, I did have a technological disaster for the last 45 minutes, but we're all okay. I took 2 shots. Pete's here. I'm here. You're here. And we're going to talk about Star Wars. He has a drink. I don't have a drink. I already drank the drink. That's how this worked. Pete, oh my God, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I was going to ask how you're doing, but I think we got the download. I think it sounds like your Death Star got bullseyed like a womp rat.
Here's what happened.
Yep.
So I couldn't get my Wi-Fi to work, and I spent like 15 minutes yelling about my Wi-Fi, and then I realized that the modem wasn't plugged into the wall. So here's how electricity works, boys and girls. You take a plug and you put it in the thing, and then electricity, and it's like ions and shit, and that wasn't happening. And so that was frustrating. And then my camera had like this display issue, but hey, we're okay. Now I'm here in a Titleist hat and a tank top. I'm already getting ridiculed in the live chat for having a tank top on. But this is what happens. This is what a 28-year-old Italian man looks like with a tank top on.
Yeah, well, first of all, happy belated birthday. It was yesterday, right? Was it yesterday or was it today? Or
It was the 9th, you jerk.
it was. Well, hey, I said belated. I'm pretty close.
No, I'm kidding you.
A happy birthday. So
No, I appreciate it.
what did you do to celebrate your birthday in this time of quarantine and social distancing?
What I did was I put myself on the floor. We have wood flooring at the apartment. I put myself into the fetal position, and I cried a lot. No, it was actually a really great day. Man, it was awesome. I woke up to breakfast and bread. Breakfast in bed. That's funny. Bread. No, I had eggs and bacon. Saltiest bacon of our lives. We had that discussion. And then I got a really sweet present. And then I went on a run, went into work. Work was enjoyable. So, I mean, it didn't deviate much from like a normal day, but several sweet acts to make the day really special. And, again, it's about, it's not about what you get to do. It's what you get to do. It's about the people you get to do those things with. And so I had Mandy. I was able to talk to my family. I was able to talk to some friends, and people said some nice things. So it was a really good day. And then, Mandy and I decided to take a trip yesterday because we were just getting so stir crazy in the house. And so we went and visited some friends up north. And we got back this afternoon. And then I forgot that electricity needs to run through devices in order for them to operate. So that's where we are. This is a very strange way to open up a show about Star Wars, but I appreciate you joining us on this Saturday night. A little curveball, Pete. Couldn't make last night work. That was my fault, too. And so here we are talking about Star Wars. Everyone's wishing me a happy birthday. Everyone is nice. Roll's being very aggressive about it. He wants everyone to wish me a birthday. Don't feel pressured to wish me a happy birthday, but it would be a nice gesture. Okay, so Pete, how are you doing? Because it has been 8 days since we last talked. Are you okay in quarantine? Because I feel like I'm falling apart right now, and you still seem you've shaved, and you look like you've bathed.
Oh, thank you. I was starting to look like I was starting to look like an extra in Ozark. So I decided that needed to come off. I'm one season into Ozark, and so I felt like I don't want to look like I'm living in Ozark. No offense to anybody who may live in the Ozarks, but chances are they're not watching streaming Star Wars. So I think we're probably going to be okay there. But yeah, I decided to take it off. I was in that spot where am I going to let the beard grow until we are at the end of this whole quarantine and self-isolation, or am I gonna take it off and go the other extreme and get rid of all the facial hair? I've had multiple people through video conferencing tell me I look 15 years younger, and my wife is saying, see, I told you, you look younger if you do this. So I've done it. I don't feel any younger. I may look younger, but I'm feeling older than ever. This whole thing has been it's it's getting a little bit old, and very
Like you. No,
thankful
I'm
that
joking.
we haven't had to deal with any of the tragedy that many people have. But at the same time, I'm ready to see people in real life again soon.
I will be honest with you. You look like you're like 41. Like you look like a solid 41. And that's like not an insult, but with the beard you look like a solid 59. So,
Okay,
I mean,
all right.
it's like almost a 20-year swing.
I
Uh
took 18 years off. That's good. I'll
yeah.
take that.
Hey, my math wasn't that far off. Um, a common theme the last couple of episodes for streaming Star Wars was David complaining about how this Ahsoka arc with the Martez sisters felt like a deviation from the main storyline. And last week I was like, oh, this might be it's changing. We got Mandalorians popping up. I will say this: I enjoyed this episode. It did not progress as rapidly as I thought. It looks like we're going to get. We have to wait one more week to actually get into the meat and potatoes of this season. However, I think overall the arc, now that we've seen it in its entirety, and I've been able to go back and watch it, it
Yeah.
is satisfying. It makes me wish that there was, the original 8th season, because I feel like in a full season of like 16 episodes, this would have been fine. But Pete, we finally wrap up the Martez saga. What's your reaction initially to seeing this 4th installment or 3rd installment?
I think it's the fourth,
It was the
actually.
4th.
Yeah, I think you're right. I liked it. I've liked this entire arc. I know I'm a little bit in the minority there. I've liked it because again, I feel like what I think we're learning is, at the end of the day, Clone Wars is very much about the role that Ahsoka plays in Clone Wars is very big, and I mean obviously, but it may even be her story. And so to get 4 episodes of seeing her struggle with being on her own, essentially, I think has been very entertaining. I actually really like this episode a lot. I did one of the things, and I don't know if this is what you were alluding to, but one of the things that I noticed, because I wasn't on top of Clone Wars when it first hit, and I went back and I watched it when it was on Netflix, and then finished watching some of the major arcs when it hit Disney Plus. And this is the first time I've ever watched Disney or watched Clone Wars week to week with the anticipation and waiting. And I think when you go back and you watch them back to back to back, they feel better. They feel a little bit more like a whole story. And so I think so what I did today was I went back and I watched all 4 episodes back to back to back to back, and that episode 8 had a little bit more payoff as a result.
Here's something that's really interesting that just got thrown at us in the live chat, and I apologize. First things first, big thanks for everyone joining us live here on Beyond the Blast Doors, episode 18. In the live chat, Frammy asks, they invested a lot in the Martez sisters. Do you think we'll see them one day outside of the Clone Wars? Pete, my initial reaction to this question, because I think it's really topical, is the fact that, well, we had already seen them. Apparently, their parents were taken out in that previous episode of the Clone Wars several seasons back.
Yep.
And and I guess this is where my frustration comes from. We spent 4 episodes for this arc, so that way we could come that full circle to allow the Martez sisters to have another day. I think it's like a creative thing, and it forces people who are like, "What are you talking about?" to go back and watch that episode. I don't anticipate a future for the
I don't
Martez
either.
sisters. Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Talk.
No, I don't either. I think they were here to help Ahsoka along. They were there to get her out of Coruscant and to give her somebody that she could identify with. It's kind of interesting because what you see is there's some classic tropes that come out in both Rafa and Trace, and that you have sort of the young, wild-eyed, eager person in Trace, and then you have the sort of hardened, I got this covered kind of person in Rafa, and then you have Ahsoka, who is she's been both, and she continues to struggle with who she is, and I think so for that purpose, I think they serve the purpose of this one arc. Move her out of Coruscant, move her on to the next thing. It was a nice connection, I thought, to Mandalore. I think I'm saying it's a nice connection because I don't know if we know how that's going to work out. I mean, I think we can all try to figure it. And it was cool to see Maul come back. in this episode. But I think to answer your question, I think the Martez sisters are gone. I don't think we're going to get Black Series figures of them. I don't think we're going to get a spin-off. I think we're done with Rafa and Trace, and that's fine. I love them. I thought they were cool characters, but I don't need to see them again either.
I could totally see us getting like Funko Pops of the Martez sisters.
Oh, I'm not saying that if they have a Funko, I'm not getting it.
You're such a whore.
You know I will. You know I will.
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about this, and before we get on to the mall thing, because obviously that was the big nut at the end of this episode that got everyone really excited. I was really happy with this, the tone of the episode throughout, especially with the Pike leadership. That there's like this greater force, this greater entity, which was really exciting me because I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if they're referencing Maul with Crimson Dawn. Like, it's not just Maul as a threat, it's Maul with Crimson Dawn, and then that gets your brain firing. Okay, so now you're trying to sync up where Solo happens in all of this, because at that point you already know that Maul has Crimson Dawn in full force. He on his throne, the necklace or whatnot. What did you think about the way they presented this looming fear? Because for me, it really worked, and again, it felt like that more adult Star Wars, and it all kind of felt like it came back together at the right time, because you get this looming fear of this greater presence. It's not the Emperor, it's not a Hutt, it's something else. And then like Ahsoka's dealing with this whole inner conflict of, well, do I finally show my true colors and like reveal that I'm a Jedi? And you see how that blows the trust she has with the girls. I mean, Rafa, she was already a lost cause, but
right.
How did that mesh well for you? Because for me, it was like, okay, here we go. The show's picking it back together.
Yeah, it was interesting to me because do you know what was the Pike leader's name? I can't remember if they gave that or not. But first of all, he reminded me of like some '70s drug dealer. I know his eyes kind of almost have that sunglassy kind of look, and he's got like the big kind of hair. Anyway, he's got whatever the heck his name was. I'm looking at it. I'm sure somebody in the chat will let us know. But I thought it was interesting when he said something to the effect of "he always knows," or "he's always," he knew. Like, so to me, it was really doing a nice job of setting the table for Solo. I don't think Maul is in charge of Crimson Dawn yet, or maybe he's starting that whole crime syndicate thing at this moment.
Marg Krim.
What was it?
Marg Krim is the name of the Pike.
Marg Krim. Okay.
I don't think we actually got that in the show. I think that's just something we probably would have gotten off the credits, but thank you, Wikipedia.
Oh, awesome. Cool. So, but I think what was interesting was the way it set up this fear of Maul and of what Crimson Dawn could be and is, and it makes you, that's what's really cool about all these different stories that are now sort of starting to connect, is now if you do watch these in chronological order from episode 1 through the Clone Wars cartoon and the whole bit, you will then understand why there's so much fear of Crimson Dawn, whether it's because of Maul or because of the crime syndicate itself. But apparently, he scared the crap out of the Pikes enough to make them do whatever they have to finish this job instead of killing these three punks. Really, right? I mean, that would have probably been the way they normally would have done it.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, and I think that's a really solid point. What are you drinking, by the way?
This is actually a bottle of red wine from, I was a year ago, actually, while everybody else was at, I'm afraid I'm going to take us into a
no, do it.
Into a ditch, but I'll take us into a ditch. Last year, while everybody was at Star Wars Celebration, I was in Switzerland for a gig, and I had an opportunity to go to a very local winery, very local, like literally like super local, right in the middle of the town that I was in, and bought a bottle of wine that I forgot I had, and it was a year ago this week, and I saw everybody was at Celebration this week on Twitter, and it reminded me that I have this bottle of wine that I wanted to check out. So I opened it up. It's a nice light red wine. Is it classic? Nope. Is it good? Yep. So
that's funny.
That's all that matters. I'm enjoying it. So.
Well, I'm happy for you. That's a great story. I like how he tells a story about how we were all at Star Wars Celebration having a good time, and he's out there buying expensive wine. So that's really nice.
I didn't say it was expensive. No. I was buying wine, though. Certainly buying wine.
Something also that I didn't really realize about this episode until this moment, also another tangent, but it brings us back on topic,
Sure.
is the variety of environments that we've gotten in recent episodes is
Yeah.
top notch. Like I always go back to that interview that Lucas did with, oh my gosh, the interviews on the VHSs of the trilogy.
Oh, geez, yeah, the sort of the making magic stuff or whatever it was called.
Yeah, but it was
Yeah.
with Leonard Maltin. Anyways, so there's the brain kicking in. Coruscant, Mandalore, Obadiah. You got Orondia. I guess that, or how did they pronounce it? That planet where they go to steal the other spice, where the Trandoshan starts beating them up.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
that's what it's called. I don't know. That stuff always sticks out to me because I always feel. I feel like they're honoring what George set out to do really well when they do those little things. You know, they slap it on at the end of every one of these episodes created by George Lucas, but how much involvement he actually has with these episodes, we have no idea. I mean, you could maybe he's having, he had calls with Dave Filoni a year ago when they were trying to wrap these things up. Maybe he didn't. I don't know. But I
Well,
thought that was good.
it's interesting too that you say that because one of the things that actually Andy from Holo Chronicles, who I think is in the chat with us, pointed out to me that when they were on Coruscant, you got different Cantina action figures from the 70s. They came back to life in an animated form. You had a version of EV-99 from Jabba's palace show up. So you're getting all these, not only these locations like you pointed out, which are amazing, like Obadiah and those different places, but you're also getting cool character reminders. I mean, what the one that stuck out to me this week was not the Trandoshan so much as the guy who was the guys who were the same race as the pod racer. Now, of course, I'm throwing out a reference and not having it together, but
Right. Yeah.
you know,
The deckhands. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. The one where
yeah,
is here. I'm gonna find the answer. You keep talking.
yeah, the little blue guy with he's basically a head with arms and legs, looked almost like a Saturday morning cartoon. But it was there's been a lot of that in this episode or in this arc, not just the reference back to
Oh yeah, I
um,
got it.
yeah,
Ben
yeah, see,
Quaterneros, and his species is a toong,
Toon.
Toong, and he's 1.63 meters high, has orange eyes, yellow skin. Again, thank you, Wikipedia.
Thank you, Wikipedia. But it's cool just to see these things coming back. And I said it to somebody recently. It might have even been this show last week when we were talking about how what Disney Plus Star Wars is doing really, really well. Star Wars that's not in the hands of, no offense, J.J. Abrams or no offense, Ryan Johnson, but Star Wars that's in the hands of the people who are really close to the story. You're getting these beautiful call outs. Some of them are very subtle, some of them bang you over the head, but just enough sort of continuity with the Star Wars universe to keep us wanting to play in the sandbox. And I think that that's been a really fun way to do it.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
it's
not EV-99. I'm sorry, Rural Farm Boy, who is amazing with his facts. 8D8. Thank you. Yeah, EV-99 is the other one with the you are a protocol droid, are you not? Yes. Okay, got it. And that was a poor impression, and I'm not going to put that into our impression bank. But
that was almost too
so-
insider baseball for me, and that was impressive. That was
I know the dumbest Star Wars. Like everybody knows the big Star Wars quotes. I know the dumb ones. I know the ones that are like so minute. So, anyway, sorry. Back to my wine. You can talk.
I have you now. Don't joke on this expensive wine. Okay, so it's funny because that reminds me of a conversation that I was having with a buddy of mine who is a very lay Star Wars fan. Will go see the movie once in the theaters, and that's all he'll do. Really
Yep.
liked 7, extremely liked 8, loathes 9. Just thought 9 was like a complete mess. And he was just like, for every reason I liked The Force Awakens, I was mad at J.J. Abrams because it just felt like, for as well as he knew the lore and like allowed the viewer to have fun in Force Awakens, the Rise of Skywalker just felt like we're going to throw in every random reference to whatever, and it's just going to be a big old spectacle for 2.5 hours. He's like, this is why Harry Potter had 2 movies for the final book.
Yep.
And I thought that was kind of like an interesting take from someone who is not involved in this at all. Like, excuse me, you and I having this conversation, I mean, we're very thrust into Star Wars and in reading and watching and all this stuff, and maybe you're watching or listening right now, you're very knowledgeable about Star Wars. I thought that was an interesting observation from someone who watches these movies, I mean, maybe twice each. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Going back to the Clone Wars, let's talk about Maul. This is
All
why
right.
we're here. because he shows up, and I thought the reveal was, uh, it was pretty smooth. Although I don't understand so it's interesting.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Force ghosts have acquired new abilities over the last
Right.
40-something years. We were confused at first because they could sit on tangible items, right? If they sat on a log. So now I
Yep.
think the theory is if it sits on a log, the ghost can also catch and throw back a lightsaber. Okay, cool. So what I've also learned about holograms in Star Wars is at first, like, they could be like on the console of your ship. They could
Mm-hmm.
be in like a crawly thing, in like Phantom Menace. And now it's like you can, if you're sending a message, it's like you can turn around the device that you're on. You can select new people, like even if they're not in the picture, you can now identify them, and you can like be like looking at your person. And even though that the environment is not displayed at all, you're able to notice Ahsoka Tano lurking in the pipes. This is very nitpicky,
Yeah.
But I was
Nope.
very confused when.
It's funny that the things that you and I have both noticed together, separately watching the shows. Last week we both noticed an inordinate number of murders.
Yes.
which is fine. And this week
PG-13.
that was the one thing that I noticed about this too, was he was able to look. So maybe I'm thinking maybe sort of like when you do a hologram in Star Wars, you sort of put like an Oculus Rift on your head, and you can like look around, and now you can like look over things and behind things. And I don't know. I thought that was a little bit strange. I thought it was interesting. I would have been happy if he just sensed her, because I think that's reasonable.
But to be fair, didn't he? Like, there was a moment where he's talking and he kind of hesitates.
No, I think he definitely did, but I think then to go sort of looking over the pipes and looking down seemed a little bit.
I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, that was a little weird. But again, to your point, if that's our biggest nitpick, then they're doing something right. So
yeah, and I think that point is right. And I acknowledge that I was being a little nitpicky, but that the whole if it would have just been like I sensed, and then he's like, I got other things to take care of, it would have been sweet. What if he wasn't on Mandalore? What if he was actually on Obadiah, ready to like just slaughter the Pikes and then head back to Mandalore? Because where I thought it was going in that moment was, oh, okay, he's actually like somewhere on the planet. He's going to come in here. Ahsoka's not going to have to blow up the place because he's going to come in here, kill everybody, put someone new in charge. He's going to jump on his ship, and then the Mandalorians are going to tell Ahsoka what's going on. So then and then it's like some like a pursuit to Mandalore, and that's where we get left off for the next episode. So
yeah,
that's where I was in my head. Okay, Dale Erdman in the live chat. Wait, you lost me, David. I thought we were talking about Force Ghost 1 minute, and we're on holocrons now. Yeah, so I changed. I was explaining how like a Force Ghost has evolved in 40 years, and I was being like a real like Henri fan about how telecommunications works. And it's not even telecommunications. What is it? It's visual communications. Communicators. I don't know. It's how that technology unfolds. I'm just being Henri. That's all this is. It's a damn good episode. You got a Maul reference. You got a Crimson Dawn reference. You got to see Toons. That's what they're called, Toons.
Yep.
Which is Pete Fletzer's favorite species of the week.
Species of the week.
They're a little chewy. I'm really excited about next week, and I feel guilty because I've said that the last 4 weeks because I haven't really been on board overall with this arc. But where you have Ursa Wren involved, and you know where this is heading to Mandalore. I think we say with a lot of confidence that next week we're going to get Rex, a bunch of clones, and Ahsoka in an embrace.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I'll tell you what, my favorite. As much as I liked seeing Maul, I think I was more excited to see that Mandalorian ship take off out of Coruscant. I thought that was really cool when they were picked up. And it's funny, my 7-year-old saw that. He was watching them with me again today, and when that ship takes off, he was like, "That's a cool ship." So you know what? It worked. If my 7-year-old loved it, it worked for me. But it was so cool to see the Mandalorian ships back. It was great to see Bo-Katan back. And and maybe you can explain this to me, because again, I'm still not 100% caught up on the previous seasons. I've picked up on most of the arcs, but I haven't caught everything up. But when she said we have a common enemy, I understand they both have had run-ins with Maul, but where did she run into? Where did the Mandalorians run into Ahsoka in the past?
Okay, so when you go back and watch, it would be season 5.
Okay.
There's like the whole like it's not called Siege on Mandalore. There's like 5 episodes where Maul goes to Mandalore and he basically convinces Death Watch to join up with him and overthrow Duchess Satine and the good Mandalorians, right?
Right.
And so they do that. He kills Satine, and then Death Watch takes over. But I'm going to say this. I'm pretty sure this is right. So Ursa was on Death Watch. She
Mhm.
sees Maul take over, but Death Watch doesn't get to take over. Maul takes over, and Death Watch works for him. So she and like 5 other
So she's going back
people,
to go
they
get
leave.
him out of there.
Yeah, she's going to take him out.
Okay,
And
got it.
so there is probably someone that could explain that more articulately than I can, but I'm trying to do that like as basic as possible because we could spend 35 minutes and just go watch the episodes and do it. But that nuts and bolts, that's what happened. Maul uses Death Watch, and then Ursa's like, "F you, I'm leaving, and then I'm gonna come back and kill you." And then
Got it.
somewhere in that, you have the Emperor show up and tries to kill Maul because he didn't know that Maul was still alive.
Right.
So if you haven't watched that, Pete, maybe that's what we need to do sometime is like watch season 5 because there's a ton of that stuff in there. And it's the best. You know, you got the Obi-Wan losing Satine thing. You got a lot of Mandalorians. And that's what I'm excited about going back and seeing that planet trashed with this war. Like, I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah. And so what connections do you think, and I'll throw this question also to the live chat, are we going to see direct connections to things we've seen in The Mandalorian here? Are we going to see some breadcrumbs? Obviously, there's a huge gap in time, so you're not going to see a baby Mandalorian, right? You're not going to see a Din Djarin, but I mean maybe, but probably not. What do you think we're going to see that sets up the connection to? Well, let's expand it. In the next 4 episodes, what do you think we're going to see that connects to both the Mandalorian television show as well as episode 3 of the Skywalker saga?
I think what you're going to get, and maybe, and I might, if I'm wrong, if I'm already wrong here, someone tell me in the live chat, but I'm pretty sure what we're going to see is the Great Purge that is referenced.
Mhm.
And I would not be surprised if we probably won't learn by name, but I'm going to say the Armorer is somewhere in all this.
Yep.
And is opposite of the Jedi. So I'm looking for a Mandalorian that's like very vocal and disagrees with the Jedi. And I'm going to say that's going to be the Armorer because she seems to think the Jedi aren't that great. My thinking is maybe the Armorer is of... I don't even know if Death Watch is really still intact anymore. It's got to be a Mandalorian that does not look at the Jedi as saviors, but as someone who brought war to Mandalore. So those are like maybe they're the more obvious things to think about. But what else can you really? There's not going to be a Baby Yoda. You're not going to see the Mandalorian shuttle anywhere. I don't think you're seeing Ursa Wren in in the Mandalorian.
So here's a crazy idea on Ursa Wren. I'm glad you said her name again. If Ursa Wren becomes the Armorer, then you can bring Ahsoka and Sabine into it, and Sabine can reunite with her mother or be called by her mother or something to make that connection.
Oh, no, yeah, that can work. And other people are saying how you could have the Darksaber pop up. Some people are saying that Ursa... So wait. Ursa as the Armorer.
Yeah. So she goes on to become the Armorer.
I'd be cool with that.
And don't let me forget to mention Todd's comment because I love it. Hold on.
Go mention it.
Yes. So Todd says he thinks the Night of 1,000 Tears may be Order 66, and I think that would be phenomenal. That would be awesome.
So you think that we're going to get all the way to Order 66 by the end of the season?
I think we do. I'm calling that it ends with Order 66.
That's wild, though. So I wonder how that would work out because when Order 66 happens, you got Kenobi on Utapau. You've got Anakin where he's... But as far as we know, we haven't seen any of that. It looks like all those people are back on Mandalore.
Well, that's true. And the Emperor has been... Not the Emperor, but Palpatine has been rescued You had the escape and capture of General Grievous. So it would be a tough connection, but maybe the last episode will be an hour. I don't know.
I would be fine with it. I just always assumed the Night of 1,000 Sorrows was still the Great Purge, but maybe those are two different events.
Yeah,
And
I think it's a cool concept, though.
I think that's a lot more sound theory than others that I've heard in the last 4.5 years of doing podcasting. Yeah. No, I mean, that's not even meant as an insult. Like, that actually, okay, that could possibly work. I don't know how they're going to do that on the timeline, but, I thought this was interesting. Here, we'll take this tangent. What do you think about this? So on Twitter, someone was asking about something chronologically, and I
Mhm.
think it was about the Clone Wars episodes, and Matt Martin with the story group was basically like, how about you just let the whole season unfold, and then you decide what goes where and whatever. And the conversation basically concluded with fans spend a lot more time on continuity than what's necessary. That fans should just focus on the story and not so much worry about where they line up.
Yeah.
And normally I'd be like, yeah, you may or may not be wrong, but Star Wars is this thing that's evolved over 4 decades where you do have all these stories, all these books, you have this timeline, you had the rings of canon for so long. And then for Disney to come out when they acquire Lucasfilm to say, okay, we're restarting the canon because everything counts, isn't that like a weird message to be putting out there?
It's an interesting point, and it's an interesting thing that he brings up because um, I'm really trying to just quote unquote enjoy the stories, right? And try to not get hung up on um, some of the canon questions. And frankly, and this is not a Rise of Skywalker show, but Rise of Skywalker may had punched a couple holes in things that I'm just like, you know what? It was a fun movie. I ate a whole bunch of popcorn. I had a lot of fun. It had great stuff, great battles,
Right.
but it doesn't fit 100% into the overarching story. So it is an interesting point especially to come from Matt Martin. Um, but it's not surprising because Matt tends to be fairly easygoing and just sort of say, "Hey, you know what? Let's see what happens." I do think though Star Wars is in this weird spot where they're almost painting themselves into a corner, and they have to be careful because they will get themselves into a spot where they will have to retcon or make excuses is the wrong word, but write themselves out of certain things if they're not careful. Which was the reason why they reset the canon from the EU so that they wouldn't have to do that. So um, I'm not really answering your question other than to say I think Star Wars is best when you just sort of enjoy it. You put your feet up, you throw it on, you make it loud, you have your favorite snack with you, and you just watch the movie or the show. Um, but there is that very high percentage, not high percentage, but highly active group of us, probably all of us in the chat right now, and all of us who are watching the show or listening to it, who are like, yeah, I want that connection. I want to see how this connects to that, and no, I'm not going to just sort of throw out what I know because I can't.
No, I think that's a great observation. And I think Matt is such a great representation for the story group. He's really good on social media. I think he finds a really good way of being upfront with people on Twitter. He sets good boundaries as far as, there was a time where like he left Twitter because people were just being like ridiculous with the questions. And he's always a straight shooter. Like if you ask him a question that he can answer it, he will answer it. You might not like the answer, but I got to meet him at Star Wars Celebration last year. Only spent like 90 seconds with a dude, but
Mhm.
super fun to talk to. Super nice. Very, very, very nice. I saw this comment in the live chat. I want to address this from Todd here. The Ahsoka book picks up some of the immediate after effects of Order 66. You're right, but it also, I think, we're going to see that duel between Ahsoka and Maul that's in that book that's referenced. We're going to
Yeah,
see that play out on screen here with these final episodes, which
I
I'm most
totally agree.
excited about. Yeah, and that has me thrilled. And so I think because Todd makes that point, I can come around maybe a little bit more. Okay, maybe Order 66 is happening in the Clone Wars, but that would be outrageous. That is a lot of time. There's just like a lot of events that would be covered in that amount of time. in 4 episodes.
The only thing I can think of is the fact that Clone Wars does have a history of jumping around the timeline a little bit, right? So conceivably, and again, have we seen anything beyond the title for episode 10 yet? I mean, I think we're all still under the assumption and the belief that we're going to get 12 episodes, which means we have 4 for this last arc, which gives us some space and gives us some time. But I don't think we've seen anything beyond the timing for episode 10, and that has me a little bit confused and a little bit perplexed because you can't finish in the next 2 episodes. There's just no way that can happen. I don't think. I mean, I could be wrong, but I'd be very surprised to see that. But you can do a lot in 4 episodes if you. Again, I still am of the hope that they're going to be extended or longer shows.
You know what's interesting is they have not given out the titles for episodes 11 and 12. And we talked about this last week that we are only able to get through, there's only 1 through 10 available. Like, you can't go to
Right.
Wikipedia and see 11 or 12. Well, 11 and 12 have been added. It's all to be determined information, but we are getting episode 11 on May 1st, episode 12 on May 8th. So that's really interesting to me. The other thing that I'm trying to figure out here, so product code, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you're going by product code, you have, okay. You have the Bad Batch, for example, is product code 6.09.
Yeah.
Distant Echo 610, episode 3 611, unfinished business 612. Okay, so you get like the number. Okay, whatever. When you jump to episode 8 that we just got together again, okay, that was product number 6.08. Now when you jump to episode 9, Old Friends Not Forgotten, which comes out on April 17th, its product number is 7.21. So here's my theory when I'm looking at this. I wonder, and I could be wrong. But when I'm looking at this, I wonder, okay, originally we know that Clone Wars was going to be 8 seasons. And the show got canceled, and then they released the Lost episodes, and then they're like, all right, we're going to release some of this stuff in comic book form and book form. Okay, and then now we get to wrap this thing up with season 7. I wonder if you're absolutely right. I wonder if there's a time jump here, and we're getting some episodes that were planned for that very last season, and we're jumping a significant amount of time. I want that would be interesting. I wonder if they're going to go from, okay, here's Ahsoka getting on board with these Mandalorians, these Night Owls, and then we're going to skip like 6 months or a year and be in like this next season, this next batch of episodes. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's possible. I mean, we could have been given these 4 episodes to show how Ahsoka took her first steps outside the Jedi, and we could jump to the heat of the Clone Wars, the parts that we saw in episode 3, and maybe this is the Siege of Mandalore takes place maybe sometime just before the Emperor is kidnapped, and then yeah, I mean that jump could make sense, and actually I kind of like that. And in fact, with the with the voiceover at the beginning, we might not see Ahsoka at all in the next episode, or maybe not till the end. Maybe we're going to learn about what's happening on Mandalore. So, yeah, I think a time jump is possible. What do you guys in the chat think? You guys think a time jump is reasonable or not? I think so.
I want to see what the live chat is saying. Right now they're all talking about your beard, which I don't know what prompted this. But
I asked him.
Oh, you
I
did?
wanted to know. Yeah, I wanted to know.
You jerk. They're all like, keep the beard, bring the beard back. I love Ashley, looking fresh and clean. Me too. Wait, by the way, Pete, grow your eyebrows, not the beard.
Oh, that's what I got to do. They're a little thin.
Do you tweeze your eyebrows?
No, I barely brush my hair. Are you kidding?
Are you lying? I think he's lying. Oh. If you think he's lying, let me know in the live chat. No, so I'm like now. Okay, so I was bashing theories earlier, except the Order 66. I think I'm coming around to that one, but I'm digging this idea that these last 4 episodes are actually from like the very end, and it would be really cool if they did sync up with Revenge of the Sith, and not only just sync up with the beginning, but play you through Order 66. because then maybe you're able to see where Ahsoka goes off to after Order 66. That'd be kind of cool.
Yep.
Well, you kind of know, right? Because the book.
I got
But
the book.
oh my gosh, I had a great point to all this. Oh, that's right. It's kind of a cool ode, tribute to the original Clone Wars cartoon, the Cartoon Network one, the micro series that I always talk about from like
Oh,
2003.
yep.
Because that's how it ended. It ended with them learning that Palpatine got captured and they need to blast to hyperspace and get to Coruscant and stop General Grievous. It'd be kind of cool if something similar like that happened, but obviously go through that because we want to see what Clone Wars. I mean, it would just be cool to watch an episode of Clone Wars knowing that it's happening simultaneously than some significant event in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. Yeah. I just want to say the chat has been like I'm not even able to follow. It's been so you guys have been so great tonight. I'm so glad you're having a blast with us because this has been I've never seen our chat like be nonstop. I'll look away for a second and come back and I can't catch up. This is great. This is what Dave, when you and I talked about starting the show back in October, I guess it was maybe even September. We wanted to do a show where you and I have some fun and we can bring in our friends who want to hang out with us in the chat. And this is what it's all about. This is where I've been wanting to be. So I know it's only a dozen of us, but this is what it's all about, especially right now, man. Things are so crazy. If we can all just hang out and laugh and talk about Star Wars and not deal with press conferences and the news, this is awesome. So thank you. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been fun so far tonight.
You mean you don't like the daily press briefings from the governors of states with no resources? Because I can't get enough of it.
Well, unfortunately for you, it's your job. You have to go and cover these guys.
Oh man,
that must be rough.
What did I equate it to today with Mandy? I was talking to her. I'm like, oh my gosh, there was such a great Harry Potter. She was talking about how some people say that the way the federal government has responded to the coronavirus pandemic is like Dolores Umbridge running Hogwarts and the Ministry of Magic denying that Voldemort is back. I thought that was funny, but I had another reference to Harry Potter. I can't remember. Damn it! Oh, it was good. I know this is a Star Wars show, but I just like Harry Potter too. So, anyways, no, yeah, it gets overwhelming. But that's what I mean. Yeah, the whole reason why we could talk on the phone about Star Wars and not invite anybody to the conversation. But the reason why we stream it on YouTube, I guess, is because we want to have people weigh in and tell us, wait, we need a Zoom streaming Star Wars session. Someone just said that in the live chat.
Yes, I think we could probably set that up.
Is there a limit to how many people you can put into a Zoom session?
Well, unless you pay for it, it's 40 minutes and 25 people or something like that. So, and God knows we can't keep 40 minutes. So, but we'll figure something out. Maybe I'll do something. I can run it through my the Around the Galaxy StreamYard or something. We'll figure something out. We'll definitely do something. There was another point in here that again, Todd, you're blowing things up tonight. Todd's owning it. He says, and this plays with what you were just saying, Dave, and I think this is a cool concept. He says that I think Ahsoka is on Mandalore already during the Bad Batch arc, which is cool and not unlike the way Clone Wars has done things. Here's a story. Here's a story which took place before that, and now let's go back to another story. So I love that thought. I don't know if it's right, but I love the thinking.
Well, my mind just got blown a little bit. Wait, did we see that first episode of the Bad Batch? Was that when like Ahsoka was not on the Hollow thing with Rex, right?
Nope,
we
haven't
seen
around.
it yet.
We haven't seen her. Our first visit with her was episode 5.
Okay. Man, that's crazy. Yeah, the one thing I really don't like about the Clone Wars series is that sometimes the episodes all take place at different moments. Well, of course they take all different. Nothing happens all at the same time, but you know what I mean. Like the timeline is, it's not like in order of occurrence. Wow, that's crazy. So she's already there. So yeah, we just really have no idea. If that's the truth, then yeah, we actually. How do we know that Ahsoka is on Mandalore? Can Todd? Can you riddle me that?
No, we don't know. It's his theory, and I think it's a cool theory, meaning that what we just saw took place before what we saw in Bad Batch, which is cool by me too. And that's Filoni storytelling style seems to be, hey, we're gonna pick up the action. It's almost in a weird way, kind of like a a Pulp Fiction kind of way of telling the story. Here's where we are. Here's what has happened. Here's where we are again. Let's tell you about something else that happened. Here we are again. So I think it would be kind of cool.
So he follows this up with saying, explains the Outer Rim sieges in episode 3 when Anakin is talking to Padme. Oh, Todd, you sweet, beautiful person.
Well, and she's pregnant as well, right? Because we could tell that the bump was clear. So it might even be taking place like during episode 3. I mean, I don't want to go too crazy, but whoa. My mind is blown.
Here, I'm going to try and move my microphone so you can see the face that I've been making with the microphone not on the face.
For those of you at home, he's drooling, and his tongue is falling. He looks almost like like Snoke when he was cut in half.
Yeah, I love that idea. Because I think a lot of people got confused with Anakin talking to Padme because, like, she's definitely pregnant and that Holocaust, and, like, he doesn't sense it. It's like, Anakin, you should probably notice this. Like, see, again, like, that's what confused me. So, like, Anakin can't tell that Padme is pregnant with, like, child as opposed to, like, something else than not a child. But then Maul can freaking, like, creep around Obadiah and just be like, Ahsoka Tano. Like, I'm just saying. I'm being an Henri fan. I'm Henri today. I've been on it all day. I'm a flawed man.
That's all right.
I make mistakes.
We all do, David. We all do. It takes a real man, though, to admit to that.
This is turning into confession. It is Holy Week, after all. May the Lord be with you.
Tomorrow is Easter. Wow, you guys are with us the night before Easter. Shouldn't you guys be hiding Easter eggs for your children?
I don't have kids. Who are you talking to?
The people, I don't know. I'm looking over at the chat. Clearly, we all of us, there's 14 of us right now who have decided that talking about Clone Wars is more important than Easter or whatever your religious holiday of choice is for the weekend.
More people are talking about your lack of facial hair and my lack of sleeves than the actual Star Wars conversation we're having. Okay, so Todd's back again. Todd, you're on a roll here. And, okay. Oh, this is funny. Andy, streaming stars with Ammo and Fletz and Todd. Well, okay, we'll shout you out. I'm just sorry, Andy, that we're not trying to slide you.
Yeah, Andy, maybe if you give us something to talk about, we can do it. Oh,
jeez. Well, he's giving the string a finger now if he wasn't already. Okay, hey, Pete. So Todd says, so they show up on Mandalore because Ahsoka asks for help, and then they get called back to Coruscant to save Palpatine. Well, Todd's really on it tonight. I'm sorry, Andy.
I'm really glad that Todd is with us this evening. Oh, man. It is fallen completely out of control.
Oh, slap happy. So this is what happened. So for those of you still with us live or just joining us live, we started a little late this evening because of some technical difficulties. But here we are approaching the full hour mark, and we've had a great time. We've had such a great time that Pete has had to go off the wine and go to the water because he's already having a hangover kicking in.
Yeah, no, the glass is empty, and it would be rude of me to get up and leave and go fill it again.
So are you drinking out of the wine bottle? Is that a wine bottle you're drinking out of?
No. This is water.
Okay, that's what I thought.
This is water, and this is the wine. And unfortunately, one is empty.
I want to make the comment something to the effect of you can shave your beard and look 18 years younger, but the alcohol still hits you like you're an old man.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah. I think that came off kind of well. The Easter Bunny is quarantined from the live chat. That's great. Rick Villanueva keeps talking about my arms. Andy from Hollow Chronicle says, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, and Butthead Saturday night. Yeah, that's what this has turned out to be. Rick says this is the best. Andy says, yes, Rick. Rick says, go ahead, Pete. Josh says Pete has more of his own swag. Share Pete. All right. This is getting out of hand.
I'll send you know what? Since somebody DM me and I'll get you something. All of you, all 12 of you. Go ahead, DM me. I'll get something out the door if I can get in line at the post office.
That's not safe. That's not safe. Well, this is the sacrifice that we make here at Streaming Star Wars for your viewing experience. We're going to go out. We're going to break self-quarantine. We're going to go to the USPS, and we're going to FedEx you some stickers.
because we care. We are we're a full service podcast thing.
All right, so just for the record, Pete made a joke about servicing the fans, and I think if Lucasfilm would have done that, you might have had better crowd results at the Rise of Skywalker. Ooh! I'm just
Whoa!
kidding.
Gives new meaning to the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh,
Oh,
hey-oh!
oh, hey-oh.
God, is this what they did in college in the 70s? I wasn't there. I'm asking you.
Oh, I was not there in the 70s. I am not that old. You may be 29, but you still aren't very good at math.
Oh my God, that was so good. That was so good. Everyone, dude, I'm not joking. I love what you said because everyone's doing great in the live chat. This has been so much fun, and I think anyone that I know that some people do prefer to listen to the audio version, right, on the Around the Galaxy podcast stream, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find Streaming Stars and Around the Galaxy. Because I'm a good friend, Pete. Let's take a moment and mention that I'm a decent, moderately decent, average friend. Okay. So, got no BTBD stickers? All right. Well, Rule, you're absolutely right. I do have packages. Everybody, okay, we'll do this. I've got the packages. I've got the stickers. Send to beyondtheblastdoors@gmail.com. Beyondtheblastdoors@gmail.com. I'll do this right now. And I have to give I got to give Rule, I think, a little extra because he is a Patreon. So, we'll do that. All right, if Pete's going to do it, I'm going to match it. Make sure you send Beyond the Blast Doors your address, and if you email me in the next 24 hours, you will get a love package from Beyond the Blast Doors. I don't know what a love package contains. I've gotten love packages from other places, and I'm not going to give you those
Hi-oh.
things. Hey-oh! Gives new meaning to the Rise of Skywalker. Something about carrier pigeons. I don't know what the hell is going on in this live chat. Hollow Chronicles, maybe Pete can send me that BTBT. Dude, Andy, we got to have a conversation here. You didn't get my pin, but I mailed you a pin, so we do have a problem. So we do need to talk, Andy, because you need a pin. Here, show that. Yeah, beyondtheblastdoors@gmail.com. Yeah. No joke. This happened. Andy bought Beyond the Blast Doors pin off the website, sent it out to him. I didn't hear from Andy for like 2 months. He's like, I didn't get my pin. I'm like, well, that's weird. I mailed you the pin, and then he still doesn't have the pin, and I haven't sent him a second one. So not the best customer service. Sorry. But Andy, we'll get this figured out. I don't know what happened, but I got to get you that. And I also, while I'm here, 3 episodes ago, I totally unboxed the Obi-Wan Kenobi figure, and I think you missed it. So you need to watch it because I made Pete I made him let me do that for like 10 minutes. So that happened. I feel really bad now.
All for you, Andy. All for you.
Oh, Andy wants me to send him essential oils. Okay, Andy, that's how I'll make it up. In my love package to you, I will send you stickers, a new pen, and I will send you some essential oils. They'll be all natural.
And I don't know if everybody's aware of this or not, but the tank top that David is wearing and has been sweating in for the last hour will be going up on eBay so that we can give the money to charity. Is that what we're doing with the tank?
I don't know why you think it's okay to make fun of me wearing a tank top. It's 9:16 where I live. I'm in the comfort of my own home. I've been traveling. It's not like I'm flexing. I'm moving my arms around. I'm looking at the preview monitor to make sure. I don't think I've made any inappropriate movements with my arms. It's not like I'm flexing. I'm sorry, I'm not Pete Fletzer in Jersey, where he's like, look at my fancy wine, and I make a lot of money, and I have a beautiful wife and kids, and I have a nice house.
I don't know. I wish I lived the life that you thought I lived.
I have this nice lush podcast studio in my office room. It's not even an office; it's an office room, which is his way of saying he has more space than the average office in a home. Okay, Pete is a narcissist. Okay, I love him. And I didn't even call you a narcissist.
I wouldn't wait a second.
It's in the comments. It's in the comments. I'm scrolling up. There's somebody in the live chat.
Since we are off the rails, I want the comments to comment on Dave's comments.
Someone going back and watching this episode in like 10 years is gonna be like, okay, if this show failed, this is why.
Right. They were close. They were good. They had something.
Yeah,
but that was where they lost it.
Finishes episode 17. Man, these guys really found their spark. They're really just driving on all cylinders. Episode 18. Well, that fell apart really quickly.
Well, that escalated quickly.
Frammy wants a love package. I'll get you a love package. Something about rollerblades. I don't know what the hell that means. I really
I
don't
think
know.
it goes with the tank.
Listen to
Actually.
this. Listen to this. Okay, this Justin. Breaking news here on streaming Star Wars. Rez has applied for a love package. I got his email, but he sent me an address that includes Wyoming and Aurora, Colorado. I'm kind of confused. But breaking news into streaming Star Wars episode 18, we did have someone take me up on a love package, Beyond the Blast Doors love package. So again, beyondtheblastdoors@gmail.com. I will send that to you. Josh, this is my hat. Someone questioned this hat. I did not steal this hat. It is not my dad's hat. I am a golfer. I don't look like a golfer, but I golf, attempt to. I do when there's not a global pandemic. So this is my hat, and that's my rant about my hat. That is not my dad's. Something about Save the Ewoks from Josh. Todd says the tank is, quote, glorious, which I appreciate. What else is going on here? How much is it for the gun show? 90 MF Comics. He's a buddy of mine. We've been in the comic book community on YouTube for a few years together, and he decided to drop in tonight and harass me about my clothing choices. So that's fine. Nick says, seems like the tank goes to Andy. It does go to Andy. It does. And I want to get a photo of Andy wearing the tank. Actually, I'm not giving up this tank because it's extremely comfortable. I love tank tops. I love like 90-degree weather, and I like to walk around in a tank top and get a golfer tan. What's golfer look like? Whirl Farm Boy asks what a golfer looks like. Usually they're like 5'11" to 6'2", lean, not a whole lot of calf muscle, but can drive like a lot of power through the golf ball because they have like strong upper legs. Like that. Hollow Chronicles, BTBD love package, twice the blast. Yes. That was really inappropriate, Andy. I don't appreciate you bringing that quality of humor to Beyond the Blast Doors. So there you have it. That's the update from the live chat, and we just hit the hour mark because of Andy's frivolity. His
Lords of
antics.
the Long Box just joined us.
Tim is just launching all the scoops. TiVo is a guy who does a lot of comic book talk. He has some Star Wars scoops. Lords of the Long Box. If you want to learn about collecting comic books, you want to know what the latest going on with like the MCU or any comic book. It doesn't have to just be Marvel. They're always really fun to listen to and watch. But yeah, Lords Long Bucks. We've been here. We've been doing a lot of streaming Star Wars. Beyond the Blast Doors is kind of on. It's been on a hiatus as of late. David and Jesse are doing their own things, and I'll go ahead and shout out Jesse. He just got accepted into the Mandalorian Mercs, so that's pretty cool. He's been working on that for like 6 years. So I'm really happy that he was able to make that happen. Really happy for him. Not sure what the next era of Beyond the Blast Doors looks like, but I'm really excited that everyone is doing their own thing. David Gilbert right now is in isolation in his apartment. He's been there for 28 days, and I talked to him twice. So he's just eating a lot of Pringles.
Jesus.
That's what he's doing. I called him. It was like 1:30 in the afternoon. I go, what are you doing? He's like, I've drank half of this brandy, and I'm out of Pringles. And I'm like, how much Pringles have you had? He's like, well, like enough Pringles to be out of the Pringles.
I'm out of Pringles.
He's a mess. So anyways, hey, this is what we're doing here on a Friday night. We've talked about the latest episode of Clone Wars. We've theorized about where we're going as far as the end of the season, because I'm telling you the product number here is giving away that we're going to have a huge time jump, and maybe we are going to be able to play in the events of Revenge of the Sith. I don't think... Is there anything that we've missed, Pete, that we have not discussed here on Streaming Star Wars Episode 18 before we let the good people go?
Other than the fact that when I watched it, I promised last week that if I did watch Episode 7 again, I would count the number of Pikes that were killed, and it was 16. So
breaking news into I almost said something else. Breaking news into the Streaming Star Wars studio. We have a second request for a BTBD love package. This was sent by Frank Mulder. And he would like non-essential oils. Love
non-essential oil. You're not allowed to use non-essential oils at this point.
Really appreciate it all.
Rural Farm Boy. Nick Milky may win though. With maybe this week's Hollow Chronicles Show Your Collection feature will just be all of David's tank tops and dad hats.
I don't know why you're making fun of my dad hat when you really looked like a 69-year-old man on last week's show with your beard. You're just getting desperate. You're just throwing dagger. Rural Farm Boy, breaking news into the streaming Star Wars studios here. He has requested a BTBD stickers. Well, I'll give you stickers. I'll also give you a love package, and I'm spewing my love packages all over tonight for
Oh
people to
lordy.
enjoy. Yeah, how do you like that? That was great. Glad we had that moment together, everybody. Bring back Beyond the Blast Doors soon on the YouTube. Rural Farm Boy, Beyond the Blast Doors is coming back. Got a move that's happening, changing my residence. And so once I have that and we have the new studio set up, then we will be going live. As far as like production, it's gonna be better. I've got it drawn up. I'm really excited about it. Same show that we know and some people do love. So I'm excited about it actually happening. But right now, it's so tough with working a little bit extra. There's a global pandemic. And right now, I just wanted to keep my promise to Pete to make the show happen on a weekly basis. And Beyond the Blast Doors, I think, we have plenty to talk about for a new episode. We'll try and make that happen as soon as possible. Pete, what do we need to know about what's happening with Around the Galaxy? New episode coming out?
We'll have a new episode this week. We have our one of my very first fans and just a good friend to most of the people who listen to streaming Star Wars. Semperfi Danny was on my show a couple weeks ago, so she's going to be joining us. We just released the High Value Target Star Wars fan fiction audiobook that I did with my friend Josh Most, who did a couple
really
of fantastic
extremely
voices.
well done. I'm cutting you off, but it's for a compliment, like a sincere compliment. Really go on and listen to this if you haven't already. It's on the Around the Galaxy YouTube channel. It's about a half hour long. Just go and listen to it. It's a really great, not only is it a fun fan fiction, but it's also, I think, a really great tribute to what makes Star Wars audiobook so great. It's the sound effects and all that stuff, and they do a really nice effort here of doing that for you. It's only about a half hour. Go and listen to it. Definitely a big love project we're throwing love at everything tonight apparently. But Pete, you told me you spent like almost like 12 to 20 hours making this thing a reality, and it turned out really great.
Well, I'm glad everybody enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. It was definitely a labor of love. So thanks for that. And I have two. I can't give in for. I'm sort of more superstitious than anything else, so I can't really talk about it. But I do have two really fun and different shows, not the same kind of shows you can hear everywhere else. Coming up in the next couple weeks as well. But Semperfi Danny, got to check her out. She's got some really great perspective as a fan who's been a fan, only a couple years, where most of us have grown up as Star Wars is our favorite thing. So really fun episode with her, and that should drop Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. But yeah, that's it. I want everybody to stay safe, listen, do the quarantine thing, do what you're supposed to do, be safe, take care of your friends and your family, and we'll get through this all together. And while I'm not sure that I would put money that Celebration is not going to happen on time, we will meet at a Celebration coming up, I'm sure.
I think that's really, yeah. I mean, that's unfortunately the reality that we're living in right now. Is no event is safe. Chicago, the Illinois governor just came out and said that probably all summer events are going to be canceled for Illinois, which is a shocker. I think that there were multiple timetables put out there about when this thing could wrap up. And I honestly think that stuff will be postponed until there's a vaccine. So, I mean, that could be January. But I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I think those are great words. Yeah, at some point, we'll get together in person. But that's why we have the show. We can be together right now. We can talk, have a Star Wars conversation here on Streaming Star Wars. I want to remind you, as always, you can follow us on @StreamingSW on the Twitter. That's where we tweet. We tweet at you. We tweet with you. You tweet at us. You tweet with us. It's how it works. You can also find us always going live here at Beyond the Blast Doors YouTube channel. Or, as I mentioned earlier, you can get the audio version, the podcast version, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just type in Around the Galaxy. It's in the same feed. All right, so episode 18. It was a lot of fun. We were able to. Here's the thing: the Death Star, right? This massive technological terror. Okay.
Right.
But
much like this show.
Still flawed. Right. Just like this show. Thank you, Pete. You saw where I was going. That was literally the joke I was trying to make at the beginning of this show, but I couldn't get words out because I was still so frazzled. And we just, but that's why, I just said, screw it. We potted up the microphones. And then before we knew it, we had an hour where we talked Star Wars and had a good time. Wash your hands, wear your masks, and your tanks. Okay, everybody, I get it. I'm not wearing a tank top on the show ever again. And Pete, you're never allowed to shave again. That's what we've decided.
All right, then.
That's what we decided. Hey, streaming Star Wars. It's been a lot of fun. Episode 18. Be sure you join us back here next week. We'll talk more Star Wars. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll talk a lot of Star Wars. And we'll make jokes about Pete's age. All right, we'll see you soon.